Oh, those plants are beautiful.
I could be going, oh my God, I'm 33, I'm unemployed, and I'm living at my parents' house. This is a complete disaster. But actually, I'm like, wow, what an opportunity. Hi.
Yay! Where you're talking to me from looks glorious. I wish I were there.
Beautiful.
Like it just...
Yeah, it's my parents' beautiful garden that they spend lots and lots of hours on. So it's really nice.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good place now. Like I'm very grateful to be where I am, where my parents live. My sister and I have both come home to kind of bunker down for a while. I think I've been through the worst of the kind of anxiety for a while, and now it's kind of calmed down a little bit.
Just tell me a little bit about your background so that I guess folks understand where you come from and some of the things that you focus on.
Probably I would say the common thread throughout my career has been about environmental issues and campaigning. I've gone at it from lots of different angles. So I kind of started out as a campaigner and a digital campaigner, and then moved into like CSR or corporate social responsibility, and then came to work at WWF around supply chain sustainability in big business, and then eventually ended up really interested in the B Corp movement. So businesses that were driving social and sustain and environmental responsibility into the core of their business models, which is a big part of where we have crossed paths in the past as well. I think I'm evolving even more into this kind of thinking around, is business the best place to be fixing this stuff? I think business is wonderful, and it's the medium that most people are finding as the vehicle for what they want to do. But I'm actually at the moment really interested in the really human, deep side of connection and the kind of the bigger crisis that we're facing, which, if you've got the environmental crisis, economic crises, mental health crisis, it's sort of some people are saying that this is a bigger crisis of meaning or crisis of spirituality that we're having. And that's what I'm really interested in exploring at the moment.
What are you hearing outside in terms of the business community as well as the general community as a whole? And what are some of the things that you're starting to hear and gather as a part of this exploration you've just discussed?
Communities that were set up to support each other in what is already a difficult and challenging thing, which is starting a small business. It's almost like a canary in the coal mine. It's just people were really, really worried about their livelihoods and really worried about their businesses and their staff. And I also have a background in events and conferencing, and that was even more early in the piece. I was in Melbourne 2 weeks ago working on a major event that was cancelled, completely cancelled. I'm talking about like a 35,000 person concert. So I guess basically I'm seeing people who are now already a couple of weeks into crisis, whereas a lot of sectors of the economy, I think it's probably going to go in waves and hit different sectors later. But yeah, I've seen people being extraordinarily generous with information and time, which is wonderful. These communities that have popped up, the viral kindness or love in the time of COVID-19, I think is one of the Facebook groups that's just wonderful, sharing beautiful stories. And it's a very generous time. And I hope that continues. The moment we're in is one of crisis, and it's a shared experience and a potential trauma that's shared and could really bring people together. But from what I've read, it's the prolonged social trauma that actually, when that happens, you start to see societies fray a bit more. And I hope we don't have that. I hope we have a coming together moment rather than a fraying.
And how are you in terms of your own endeavors, right? Like you've branched off and now you work for yourself as a freelancer or a contractor. How's your world changed? And walk us through some of that generosity as well as some of that hopefulness that you're starting to see through the community in your own personal endeavors.
So I recently started a business venture with a co-founder, but we're both also sole traders. So we're just like everyone, just sort of thinking at the moment, like how we can access any government assistance and whether we do that as a business or whether we do it as a sole trader, whether we do it as individuals. And yeah, I've just been grounded like everyone. So it's all Zoom calls, Zoom from when I wake up to when I go to sleep pretty much. But I feel so lucky to be part of such wonderful communities, professional communities. People's time, professionals' time is freed up. And you'd think we'd all want to sit on our asses and go on holiday and chill out, but actually everyone's finding stuff to do. It's amazing.
And what do you think that shift in business is going to look like?
I've been thinking about really how can businesses, rather than thinking week to week and month to month at the moment, like really think about sort of like cocooning or going on ice, or mothballing, which is a term that comes from World War II, when they had big cargo ships that were moving around the world and they just had to park them offshore full of goods, and they mothballed them. They literally put in mothballs into the pocket to protect them while the war happened, and then to pick up where things left off. It's not easy to do, but if you can all think about how you can cocoon your business for a time and shelter from the storm and then pick up where you left off, that's a good way to do it, rather than kind of draining your energy and resources trying to fight against what's happening. What this is calling for is for companies to pivot rapidly, and what I think is an amazing opportunity is this idea of pivoting or oscillating around your very core.
That's fantastic. And what do you think needs to come from leaders in order for us to deeply think about that pivot? What are some qualities that you've seen out there in the business community that enable us to think differently during this time as well as beyond this time?
I keep thinking of this kind of cocooning, and like you can even do that on a micro level. Like if you as a leader are not feeling it, you can take time, you can go regroup, you can nourish yourself, put your oxygen mask on first, and then come back to your team or your business when you're feeling calm and when you're feeling collected and like you can make really good decisions. Advantage is a better soldier than rashness. From Henry V, Act 3, Scene 6. I want to be able to pour water on the fire while there's still water to pour. As in, like, I want to be able to do something while I can that makes sense, rather than having to like be forced into difficult corners. So
I don't call it cocoon. I call it like my Canadian background would be like polar bear. I hibernate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going into hibernation, you'll be fine, making sure there's enough water and sustenance in your body. So what are some of the things that you do to stay in that cocoon mindset? Or if you have done anything in the past, like looking at where you're currently working from, that to me feels like the perfect cocoon setting.
I've been relying on meditation a lot at the moment to navigate what's going on emotionally in response to everything happening in the world. That's talked about lots now as a tool to manage our own well-being, and that's just really coming into its own now for me, I think, sort of meditation that I've been studying. And the other thing I'm really utilizing is connecting online. So I've long worked in the world of real world events and experiences, and it's a really interesting challenge now to try and create a sense of community online. Globally, we are having a narrative collapse event of many narratives at the same time. And I think people are also going to go through a deep identity shift. If someone's going what we call in Australia, on the dole or using government benefit for the first time ever, they might not see themselves as someone who does that. And now we've got lines running around Sydney and cities, people lining up for government benefit. So it's going to create an amazing global empathy, I think, because everyone is literally in the same boat. Boat analogies again. No one is going to be untouched by this. And yeah, that's really powerful because it's leveling and it creates an amazing sense of oneness and empathy. So yeah, I'm just sort of at the moment really just almost like watching this and observing and thinking deeply about it.
I'm excited for us, all of us, I think. I think that I guess you make a choice in terms of what we take, in terms of all of what you do in a time of crises. And I think similar to you, there's a lot of gratefulness and a lot of humility as well that come from being able to empathize with others. And this has to be better for everybody. So yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah. Hey, thanks for this. This was awesome. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
This is a unique opportunity to let your brain relax and be bored and like fuck around, excuse my language, screw around, mess around for like whole days and see what happens when your brain gets bored. Pick up an instrument, pick up a tool, see what happens.